YouTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my most anticipated reads, the old edition. You might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about, the old edition? Well, it's July, and I haven't done one of these videos at all this year. My excuse was the first couple months I didn't have very many books to share with you, so I didn't find it necessary to make a video for only 2 books. But last night I decided, well, I do want to talk about my July reads that I'm anticipating. And so I'm going to go through all 7 months that have just passed and go back through and make sure that I didn't miss anything. Now, because this is a collective video, I'm going to make 2 parts to it. So part 1 is just YA books. Part 2 will be all of the adult reads. And again, these are all old books from 2019, but all of these are out now. So if you are interested in reading them, you can. I have gone through each book that was interesting to me. I have written down the title, the author, little keywords to let you know what it's about and how many pages there are in each book. If the book came in hardback, I only wrote the hardback pages. If it came in paperback, I would write that. There are 2 out of this entire list that is only on Kindle, but of course I will let you know about that as well. So let's start. I'm going to stand over here so that way you can see pictures on this side. And for some reason this year, it's all about the fantasy. I tend to stay clear of fantasy books. I don't read them very often, so it's the contradiction for my personality to have so many fantasy on my list. But they looked so good last night, and I wasn't drunk. This was sober, Missy. I really enjoyed the synopsis of all of these books. So I wanted to share with you, in case you like my taste in books, you may like these ones as well. And it's cool because you can get these books right now. They're so old. They're so old. You can buy them now or borrow them from the library or Overdrive or however you like to read books. So let's get started. We're going to start with January. Now, the very first book that I was interested in reading in January was called Echo North. It's by Joanna Ruth Meyer. It has 389 pages. It's got a talking wolf, a missing father, and a daughter who goes out to look for him. So it's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, although it doesn't say that in the synopsis. It sounds like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because once the girl finds her father half frozen in the forest being like guarded by this talking wolf, she decides to take her father's place in order for her father to be released. That's all I know. Let's continue. The next book I'm super interested in reading is called King of Scars, and this is by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I read the Grisha trilogy a long, long time ago. Really, really enjoyed it. I didn't like who our main character ended up being with at the end, but, you know, to each their own. Everyone likes somebody else, and he just wasn't my perfect book boyfriend, so I didn't want her to be with him. But it's been so long, I don't even know their names anymore. Is it Alina? Is that her name? Alana? I can't remember. Regardless, I do own 6 of Crows. I don't have the second book, but that is a spin-off of the Grisha trilogy. It's got different characters, but it's in the same world. And now we have King of Scars, which again is in the same world, but it's with a character that I actually know. And it's Nikolai's story. So when we meet Nikolai in the Grisha trilogy, he is a captain of a ship, and he helps save our main character, and he helps defeat the Darkling, and so forth and so on. But we don't really know his backstory. King of Scars is his backstory, how he, you know, how he's a prince or a king or something like that. So that one is 514 pages. It's a duology as well. I am looking forward to finding out more about Nikolai because he's a very interesting character. I like that he didn't want to be royalty and he took off on his own to have a band of like misfits and have a ship, a flying ship, by the way, and he goes and does naughty things just so he can escape royal duties, and he just wasn't wanting that. He's like the Arya Stark. She doesn't want to be royalty. She doesn't want to ever be a lady. She wants to be like an assassin. And so Nikolai had the same kind of idea. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with kingdoms and responsibility like that. I want to just, you know, be free to do whatever I want. The next book is called The Gilded Wolves. I've seen this around BookTube, and it's by Roshani Chokshi. This is 388 pages. It's a historical fiction story set in 1889 Paris. It's a heist book, and it's compared to Six of Crows. So I, again, have never read Six of Crows, but I am intrigued on the historical fiction and a group of misfits. I want to know what happens. And this is the first book in a series. I don't know how many are going to be a part of this series, but just so you know, it is a series. Next, we have A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This is by Bridget Kemner, and this has 484 pages. It's a YA fantasy. Obviously, all of these are YA, but it's a fantasy retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and this is actually said in the synopsis. So yeah, another Beauty and the Beast retelling. I never thought I would want to read Beauty and the Beast retellings, but I do enjoy the live action movie. I really enjoy, obviously, the animated is my favorite, but the live action was okay. And this one's supposed to be really dark. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't think I wrote it in here. I think it's this one. People didn't like this one because there's no library. And it's a lot darker. And it's got, there's no consent or something. Like in this one, she doesn't choose to change places with her father. She's just kidnapped, I think. I'm not sure. I went through a lot of books last night. All right, the next one is called The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. Now, I read all of Maureen Johnson's Shadow Cabinet series. She hasn't come out with her 5th book yet, but I did read The Name of the Star and all the consecutive books until book 4. I really, really enjoy Maureen Johnson's writing, and this one tickles my fancy because the first book, which is called Truly Devious, and I have it on my Kindle actually, it's about a boarding school where there are riddles that need to be like found, like solved, and there is a kidnapping and a mystery that needs to be solved and so forth. So it sounded really cool because the person who created the school put puzzles and all these things within the walls of the school that you need to solve, and then his wife and kid gets kidnapped, and there's a person leaving clues and riddles themselves. So that sounds amazing. And then of course book 2 is coming out. Even though I haven't read book 1 and I won't buy book 2 yet, I do need to read book 1 first, but I'm still super interested in the world, and so I wanted to share that with you guys. And then we have In an Absent Dream by Shannon McGuire, which is the 4th book in the Wayward Children series. I've already read it. I already bought it. I gave it 4 stars. I absolutely love the Wayward Children series. All the books are around 200 pages or so. They're all like little novellas. They're fast reads. I love the world. If you don't know anything about the Wayward Children, I don't know where you've been. They've been talked about on BookTube a million times. But basically there is different worlds, different fairy worlds that are connected to our human world by doors. And when a child is worthy, or she or he shows signs of not wanting to be earthbound anymore, a door will open and they can cross through to their respective worlds that match their personality. So there's like the dark world where, you know, you could be with death, or there's like a vampire world, or a sugary candy world. There's just all these different worlds, and they're so fun to read about, and I absolutely love them. Next. Next we have Stain here. Now, A.G. Howard was my first favorite YA author ever. She wrote the Splintered series. There's 4 books plus a collection of her novellas. It is one of the best love triangles ever. So good. Morpheus is my book boyfriend. I absolutely love him. And I love A.G. Howard's writing. I do own Roseblood, which I haven't read yet. I do own her new adult book, which I haven't read yet. And now she's got a new one called Stain. And it's a Princess and the Pea retelling. Now, from the synopsis, I don't get Princess and the Pea. And our main character is raised as a boy because if she was a girl, she would be in danger. So I'm really looking forward to this. Not only that, but look at this cover. A.G. Howard has amazing covers. Loved them all. I really like this author. She's an auto-buy, and so I had to. This particular book is 512 pages. I stopped saying page numbers. Does the page numbers matter to you? I'll leave page numbers underneath the picture just so you know. Because sometimes when I see that a book is more than 400 pages, I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I want to read that or pick it up anytime soon. But if it's small, if it's 350 or less, I'm like, okay, I can do that. All right, next we have Dream Keeper. I know I told you guys in the past that I was trying to get away from dream books, but here I am again, getting sucked back in. This is by Amber R. Duell. I think that's how you say it. This is 288 pages. This is about the Sandman, and he falls in love with our main character. It sounds amazing. Kids start dying in their sleep, which made me think of Nightmare on Elm Street. But there's mixed reviews on this book. Some people say it's really good. Some people absolutely hated it. And this is the first book in a series. So our main character is best friends with the Sandman, although the Sandman is in love with her. And according to the synopsis, she can't talk about the Sandman anymore because her mom used to make her go to a therapist because she thought she was lying, and so she keeps it to herself, but now kids are starting to die in their sleep, and then she's wondering if the Sandman can help these kids. But I don't know what his role in this is. Is he the one killing the kids? I don't know. It sounds interesting. I want to read it. Next we have The Cold is in Her Bones by Peter Nell Van Arsdale. Now, I do own this book, which is A Beast. Aha. I have the book. I have The Beast is an Animal. I received this from Simon & Schuster. I requested it, never read it. I started it, and then I didn't continue. I think I only got like 2 pages in. But this cover is so beautiful, and I wanted to read it. And the back was super interesting, and now he's got a new book that, again, I'm interested in reading. This is a Medusa retelling. So there's that. Some people, again, this is mixed reviews. Some people said that there's not that much Medusa. Some people said that they really enjoyed it. Some said that there was a trigger warning for snake cruelty. So there's killings of snakes. Yes, I understand that there are people that are sensitive and they need trigger warnings. That would be great for rape or physical abuse or mental illness or substance abuse, anything like that. Skinning cats and dogs would be a trigger warning. I don't want to read about that, but snakes? I could care less. I don't care. Kill them all. I know they're good for us. They eat rats and everything. They keep rodent populations down. But I'm not going to be sad if you killed the snake. So to me personally, that's not a trigger warning for me. But I did want to let you guys know in case you have a deep love for snakes and that this would be offensive to you. So there's that one. All right, next is Come Find Me by Meghan Miranda. This is 336 pages. It's a YA mystery. It has a bit of sci-fi in it, and it's about two teens drawn together. The first teen is a girl who lost her brother. I can't remember if it says in the synopsis how he died, but I think he's dead. And he was doing something with radio frequencies. I think he's like trying to find alien life. And since he passed away, she decided that she would continue on searching the stars in his memory. But she finds a frequency that doesn't make any sense. And lo and behold, there is another boy on the other end. And I think there's a romance with these two. So there's that. I am interested. And then we have To Dream is to Die. This is the first book in another series. It's by Sarah Lampkin. It has 234 pages, so right up my alley. It's got not that many pages. It's about a girl who had a near-death experience. So now that she's completely fine, everything's great. Every time she goes to sleep, her spirit wanders into this realm called Fade. And one day, she realizes that there is another spirit watching her. So it's a paranormal romance. Again, I usually don't read paranormal romances, or at least I haven't in a really long time. So I am curious. Those were all my January picks. Let's get on to February. This video is probably going to be a little bit long. I do apologize, but you get to see really pretty pictures. All right, February, we have Spectacle. This book is the first in another series. It's by Jody Lynn Zodrock, Z-D-R-O-K, Zodrock. That sounds very Klingon. I don't know. It's 368 pages. It's a YA mystery, murder. It's about a morgue writer. So this girl in Paris of 1888, her job is to write morgue things in a paper, all the people, almost like obituaries, what happened to people, to catalog deaths and so forth. But one day she starts having visions of the murdered victims prior to it happening, and she wants to help before it's too late one of the victims. So that sounded intriguing. Next we have Soul in Darkness. This is by Wendy Higgins. Now I did read Wendy Higgins books about the 7 Deadly Sins. I got through the first 3 books, I think, in the series, and then I got into a really bad car accident and decided that those books were bad luck. Even though they were fun to read, I decided I couldn't read the rest of them because every time I would listen, it would remind me of my T-boned car accident where all my airbags deployed, my entire car was totaled, and the guy driving the Mustang screamed at me while I was crying because he said I ruined his car when he's the one who ran the red light. So I never finished her series of the 7 Deadly Sins, but she's got a new book called Soul in Darkness. It's a Cupid and Psyche retelling. I know who Cupid is. I don't know who Psyche is. I've heard down in the comments at Goodreads that this person has no idea anything about the mythology of the Cupid, and so it's not well represented or written. It's not accurately written by mythology standards, but I still am interested in reading it. And it's a new adult romance. I haven't read new adult since after I read Beautiful Disaster, which was an awful, awful, awful book. It was awful. I also read something else and I hated it too. So I stayed clear from new adult for the last 4 years, and I decided I would test the waters with this one. Next, we have The Past and Other Things That Should Stay Buried. This one is 304 pages. This is by Sean David Hutchinson. I've never read anything about him, but I absolutely love this cover. I mean, it's a Slurpee, right? So cool. And it's about a boy who, his family owns a funeral home, and he can talk to the dead. So his ex-best friend shows up one day, and he's talking to him, and they're going to, I don't know from the synopsis, I can't remember if they're trying to like figure out why they weren't friends anymore or if he needs to find the killer. I sometimes get my synopsises confused when I look up 50 different books in one sitting, so I'm interested. Next we have A Danger to Herself and Others. This is by Alyssa B. Shinmel. It's got 341 pages. This is a mental health book set in a mental hospital. And she's trying to convince everyone that she's not a danger to society. I like mental health. That's one of my buzzwords, so I was interested in reading it right away. All right, that was all of February. There was only 4 books. On to March. The first book on my list is A Question of Holmes by Brittany Calvero. This is a YA mystery. It's a Sherlock retelling, and this is book 4. I've already read the first book in the Sherlock Holmes retelling, and then I bought 2 and 3 because I liked the first one so much, so why not just tack on the 4th book to my want to read list, right? Right. The next is The Waking Forest. This sounded really good. This is by Alyssa Wees, W-E-E-S, Wee, right? I don't know. This is 304 pages, and what got me was someone either on Goodreads in the actual synopsis or someone said it in their comments, but this is like Pan's Labyrinth meets the Hazelwood. I really, really liked the Hazelwood. I liked Pan's Labyrinth until the little girl dies at the end. That might be a spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, but you don't know what the context is, so maybe that doesn't matter. Regardless, it sounds amazing. I said book porn is one of my keywords because look at this cover. Look at this cover. It is so gorgeous. 2019 has been particularly amazing for YA fantasy. All of the covers have been downright just jaw-dropping gorgeous. I love all of the books. So with this one, there's a vanishing forest. So the girl, when she goes to touch the forest, she can see a forest, almost like a mirage, but when she gets close, it vanishes. And some people were talking about how this book has too many stories in it, like too many intertwining stories that don't seem like they connect in any way. But that happened in the Hazelwood, and I thought it worked brilliantly, and I liked it a lot, so hopefully I like this book as well. Next, we have Other Words for Smoke. Here is the picture. This is by Sarah Maria Griffin. It's 352 pages, and this is a YA horror fantasy about a burned down house and how the 2 children that do know the real story about the house burning down, how there are dark powers within the house. So I'm interested to know if the dark powers have now been like decimated from the burning, like they no longer work, or if that has aggravated the entity that has the dark power and is now wreaking havoc among the town or what have you. So that sounds awesome. And then we have When the Sky Fell on Splendor. This is by Emily Henry. I've never read a book by her, but this is a YA sci-fi. It sounds really, really good. And it's got 384 pages. Then we have You Owe Me a Murder by Eileen Cook. Now, I did read her Malice book, really enjoyed it. I didn't see any of the twists coming, so that was interesting. So I want to read a new YA thriller by her, and this has 368 pages. Yeah. And now we're on to April. So that's one that I was looking forward to reading is The Red Scrolls of Magic. And this is by Cassandra Clare. It is 350 pages, and it's a Malik spin-off. Now, if you guys are curious, I have read all of the Infernal Devices books. So the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, which I absolutely loved. And I know some people didn't like those books. Some people didn't like the love triangle. Absolutely loved the love triangle in that one as well. And I really enjoyed the books. And I also have read City of Bones, but that's it. I've never finished the series. I only read City of Bones, then jumped to the Infernal Devices. which I was really excited about because then you figure out how Church came to be the cat. And then I know that there's other books within the Mortal Instruments universe, but I haven't read anything else. I do own the Magnus Bane bind up of all the people, like YA authors who wrote stories for Magnus Bane. I haven't started that, but I'm looking forward to it because Magnus Bane is one of my favorite characters of the series, and I really like Alec Lightwood and Magnus's relationship on the TV show. I've never actually seen it evolve in the Mortal Instruments series, so I don't know how much of a love story they have. But with that being said, the Red Scrolls of Magic is them going on a romantic trip and then finding out that Magnus has to fix some kind of cult that he started ages ago, and now he has to stop some bad people, and Alec has to help him out. But I'm sure there's going to be some little lovey-dovey bits to it, so I'm excited to read that. And it's the first book in a series, so I don't know how many books there will be in this second spinoff or third or fourth spinoff. Cassandra Clare writes a lot of stories. All right, the next book I have is The Devouring Gray, another book that's been talked about on BookTube lately, and it has mixed reviews. And this is the first book in a series. It has 360 pages. It was written by Kristen Lynn Herman. So this book, when I read the synopsis, it kind of reminded me of Compulsion by Martina Boone, which is the first book in the Heirs of Watson Island. Now, in that book, there are 4 founding families that dealt with some kind of voodoo priestess or priest, and they got their powers that way. In this book, there are 4 founding families that trap a beast in the forest and take his powers, and so each family member has a power that the beast used to have. People say that this would make a good CW TV show. They compare it to Stranger Things and Vampire Diaries and other CW paranormal supernatural TV shows. So I'm interested in that. Plus, again, 2019. Hold on, let me draw. The covers for this year are magnificent. I love. The next one I want to talk about is The Raven's Tale by Kat Winters. This author is an auto-buy author for me. I pre-ordered this before it even came out, and the reason why I did so, not only is it because I really enjoy Kat Winters' writing, but this is a Edgar Allan Poe retelling. And if you don't know me yet, or you haven't been paying attention, I'm obsessed with birds on the covers of books, especially ravens in general. So if there's blackbirds on the cover, I need it. I need it in my life. Look at that. Look at that. Just gorge. Gorge. So excited. Look at, I don't even think I've looked underneath the dust jacket on this. Look how gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that brown, or the red. And then here's a little bit of the inside. Yeah, I am just ridiculously stoked to read this. I'm going to save this for October. That was on my list and I ended up buying it. Then we have Dreaming Darkly, and this is by Caitlin Kittredge. This has 368 pages, and it's about a secret family, which is a secret family. It's a gothic mystery, and it's set on an island off the shore of England called Dark Haven. I didn't want to know any more about the book because that already was exciting. I like books that are set on mysterious islands, and the fact that there is like this secret family, I'm all for it. The next one is called The Hummingbird Dagger, and this is by Cindy Anstey. This has 352 pages. It's a historical fiction set in 1833. It's a YA mystery, and so there's a carriage accident, and a girl is removed from the carriage and is brought into the house to recuperate. And when she comes to, she doesn't remember anything. But she's got the hands of a working class woman, like she scrubs dishes or something. It's really rough. But she's got the education, the poise, and the speech of a highly educated woman. So I'm thinking, what if this is like Born Identity, but set in, you know, a historical fiction setting with a girl as the main character. It doesn't say any of that in the synopsis, but whenever I think about people waking up with no memory of who they are, but they have like dual or opposing attributes, I'm like, oh, maybe they were a spy or something and they were trained to be like this. I don't know. I'm excited. Okay. Next we have You Must Not Miss. I put this on my TBR last year, and this one has 295 pages. It is by Katrina Leno, and the main character's name is Magpie, so obviously I'm going to like it because it's birds. It's a magical realism book, and it's about a girl who suffers greatly. Like, she's got sorrow in her life, her family is falling apart. I want to say either there's parents that are dead, or I don't know what's going on with her family home life, because the synopsis is, I try not to read too much of a synopsis because I don't want to be spoiled, because sometimes they spoil too much. But the main thing that I took from this is the fact that our main character is so distraught, she writes in a journal, you know, to kind of like cope. And while she's doing that, she creates another reality called Near. And I want to know what kind of world Near is, because the more she writes about Near, the more it comes to life. So that's exciting. And then we have the book Lucid. I already own a book called Lucid by another author, but this is a new one. This is by Christy Fairlamb. It has 272 pages. And it's about a girl who relives real-life tragic events in her dreams. So if there was a catastrophic world event, say like a hurricane decimated an entire country, or there was a bombing, or there was like a mass suicide, or anything like that, even though it has nothing to do with her, she experiences those tragedies, those events in her dreams. So she just keeps reliving these horrible nightmares, kind of like Groundhog's Day. There's a quote from the book. It says, "Living death by night and fearing sleep by day." This is another dream book, and I am here for it. I definitely want to read it. All right, the next one is called Smoke and Key. This is by Kelsey Sutton. It's 304 pages, and this was really weird. So this is set in like a death-like world, so like an afterlife of some kind. It's called Under, so like an underworld. And each person that is in this world is given a name to go with whatever item they had when they fell out of their grave, which is so random. So our main character's name is Key. She had a key on her when she fell out of the grave. And then there is another person named Ribbon, and another one named Dolly, something like that. That sounds really interesting, and I like anything that has to do with the afterlife, so I'm looking forward to it. And let's see, the last one for April is Saving Meghan. This is by DJ Palmer. It has 372 pages. It's a mystery thriller, and it's about a girl who mysteriously gets ill, and the mom has like this panic where if she's not able to speak to her daughter like at all times, then she goes into like this fright that her daughter's just gonna die. And we don't know if it's like Munchausen's by proxy, like she's creating this illness for, you know, so she gets some kind of gratification from it. But the daughter has been to a million doctors. They can't find anything wrong with her, and yet she still suffers. So that sounds interesting. And then May. First book in May is Aurora Rising. This is by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I really like the Illuminate files. I've read the first 2 books. I still haven't picked up the third one. Story of my life. I never like to finish series because then the series is over and it makes me sad. So I'll read a bunch of the books, or 1 or 2 or however many in a series, then I'll never finish the last book because I don't want it to end. Anybody else? Show of hands? No? No? Okay. So, Aurora Rising is by those 2 authors. It's got this gorgeous cover. It's a sci-fi, and that's all. It's the first book in a series. I don't know anything else about it. I don't care. I want to read it. I like the way they write together. It's flawless. Like, I don't hear a difference in their writing style. It's very fluid, and I really enjoyed the first one. I'm hoping that this one also has a unique formatted the way it's presented, because I really like those kinds of books, but we will see. The next book is called The Kingdom. Now, this is by Jess Rothenberg. This is 352 pages, and this is like a dark Disney retelling. So we have this virtual reality world that has robots, like androids, that are there for... No, I don't know. It doesn't say pleasure, like to pleasure men, but it's there to make all your dreams come true. So it's like these princesses, but they're not called princesses. They're called fantasists, something like that. So what I wrote is, it's a Disney with a dark, sinister robot princess, and then there's murder involved. And there's not just one dark Disney princess android. There's several. So I am just hooked on that. I'm like, what is this virtual reality Disneyland where you can go and then have people hang out with you? Like, you have like instant friends. I don't know what's going on, but it sounds exciting. Next we have Stepsister, another retelling, and I swear to God, this year is the year for retellings. This is by Jennifer Donnelly. I own one of her other books, but it's a historical fiction. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know how I will like her writing style. But this one sounds so much better than the other book I own by her. This is 352 pages, and it's a Cinderella retelling, but it's in the POV of the stepsister. So if you have read Grimm's fairy tales, where... if you read the Cinderella story, the sisters, the 2 stepsisters, they cut their toes and heels off in order to fit their feet into the shoe to kind of trick the prince into thinking that they are the ones that deserve to be wed. Like, they're the ones that he's looking for. So in this one, that's what the stepsister does. She has convinced the prince that she's the rightful, you know, wife or whatever, but there's lots of blood and lots of gore. Someone said in the comments that they absolutely hated this book because there was so much blood and gore, and I'm thinking, because of you, I want to read this book. Just because of that comment, because blood and gore is my thing, and that's what I want to read. Okay, next we have The Bone Charmer. This was really interesting as well. This is by Brina Shields. It's 400 pages, and it's about a society where there's these bone charmers. So they're people who read bones, and they can tell you about your past, your present, your future through these bones. Now, with the bones, they also tell the new generation what kind of jobs they're going to have. And our main character just so happens to have a mother that is a bone charmer, and then she too has been destined to also be a bone charmer. But she's upset about her plight. She does not want to be a bone charmer, and so she has a fight with her mom, and somehow one of the bones that the mom uses to read her future shatters, like it cracks and breaks in half, which then makes our main character have to live 2 lives simultaneously, which reminded me of another story that I read. If I can find it, I will leave the picture here. But in this book, the main character would live one life during the day, and when she was asleep, she would go to sleep and wake up in a different body, and she has to decide by a certain time, like a certain birth date, to which life she wants to keep. So that was very interesting. I really like that book because it's a standalone. But this one's also a standalone. So our main character, our girl, like I said, has to live 2 different lives, and then she has to choose which one she wants. So that sounds fun to read. Then we have Missing and Presumed Dead by Emma Berquist. This is 373 pages. Our main character's name is Lexi, and when she touches things, she knows exactly when you're going to die, which I got confused with another book that I talked about, but I don't want to go back because this video is already way too long. So there is, she sees a girl get murdered and she couldn't help her, so she feels bad. So she goes to talk to the ghost, and the ghost wants revenge, and our character is adamant about helping her because she wasn't able to prevent her death, but also she's fallen in love with the ghost. So it's a girl on girl, and I'm interested in finding out more. Next we have Keep This to Yourself. This is by Tom Ryan. This is 320 pages. It's a murder mystery with some kind of cryptic message. So there's this serial killer called the Catalog Killer, and he kills a whole bunch of people in this town. Our main character's best friend was his last victim, and I don't know if it's months or years later, our main character finds a cryptic message left from his friend, so he doesn't know what the truth is now, and he needs to follow the clues to figure out who the killer is and stuff like that. Very interesting. Love. Then the last one of May is The Unknown. Another really interesting synopsis. The picture, though, the cover doesn't look very good. This is by J.W. and Jenny Lynn. It's 334 pages. This is only found on the Kindle. It's about 8 kids that get kidnapped between the ages of 9 and 17. They all wake up in this place. They don't know where they are. And so it's a sci-fi dystopian. It kind of reminded me of The Cage by Megan Shepherd, except for that one was with aliens. I don't know who has kidnapped these 8 kids, and I don't know what they have to do. But the synopsis said that if they don't follow the rules, which there are many, then they get seriously punished. And I'm wondering why they were why they were chosen to be kidnapped and what are they for. So that sounds interesting. Now we're on to June. Sorry, this is a very long video. All right, so for June, Sorcery of Thorns. Now I do have the Enchantment of Ravens, obviously, because birds. But Margaret Rogerson wrote a new book. This is another standalone, Sorcery of Thorns. This one's 456 pages, which is incredibly long, because the other one, Enchantment of Ravens, was like 300 pages. And this is about a magic library where grimoires, am I saying it wrong? Grimoire. Anyways, they come to life and they can talk, and someone's trying to burn down the library, and our girl who is in charge of like watching the library has to then go and ally with a bad sorcerer to keep the library alive, but then she finds out that maybe everything that she's been told is not the truth. So there's demons. I'm obsessed. I want to read it. Then we have Ghosts of the Shadow Market. Now, oh my gosh, another Cassandra Clare book. This one though, so I told you I read The Infernal Devices, and there is Jem, which is one of the love interests, and I loved him so much. And this entire book is short stories written by a whole bunch of YA authors in the POV of Jem. Like, thank you. I want to read it. It's 614 pages, but boy, Jem's awesome. Carstairs, brilliant violinist, and beautiful. Yep. He's half Asian too. I like Asians, if you didn't know. My husband's Chinese. Well, he's not full. He's half Chinese, but still. Love Asians. All right. Then we have Teeth in the Mist. I've been waiting forever for this book. This is by Dawn Kurtagich. I don't know how to say her last name. I always say Kurtagich because CH says ch. But maybe it's Kurtagich. I don't know. This one is 447 pages. Now, Dawn has written 2 other books prior to this. They are set in haunted houses. And this one is also set in a haunted house. So it's horror. She's an auto-buy author for me. I've purchased, like I said, the other 2 books that she's written. And this one has 3 POVs that jump timelines. So there's 3 different generations. Not necessarily the same family, but just 3 different timelines talking about this haunted house. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Oh my gosh, we're on the last page. Number 4 in June is Fib and the Axe of Fury. Now, this totally caught me off guard because this cover is not that amazing. It looks like it's self-published. So I was like, what are the ratings like? What are the comments like? This is by Esosa Kolawole. It's 304 pages. It's an African mythology book. And what got me was the beginning says, never take your glasses off when you leave the house. So I wonder if it's some kind of like mystical, like voodoo kind of thing, or like maybe our main character can see bad stuff if her glasses aren't on when she steps out of the house. Like the house is her sanctuary and then outside is bad. I don't know, but it sounded interesting. I'm really excited. Last month, we are finally on to July. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Sorry, I'm rushing. I'm trying to make a lot of videos in one day so you guys have content for the next couple weeks. So for this one, we have Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is 368 pages. Look at this damn cover. Oh my gosh. It is a horror book, and it has all these girls are quarantined because the infection makes them monstrous. I don't know what happens to their bodies, but they change. I'm looking forward to that so much. Also, Lala at Books and Lala really enjoyed this book, so whatever she gives 5 stars to, I want to read. Then we have Before I Disappear. This is by Danielle Stinson. This is 384 pages. This is about a town that literally disappears and leaves 4 teenagers behind. They're like stuck in some kind of fold, but they don't know how to get out. There's siblings. There's like a brother and a sister. I don't know if the brother is stuck in the town and the sister is the one outside. I can't remember. But there's inner darkness and there's killings and monstrous stuff, and I'm looking forward to that oh so much. Then we have Grimoire Noir. This is a graphic novel by Vera Greentea. It's 290 pages. It's a town full of women who are also witches, and then someone goes missing. The comments in the Goodreads say that the illustrations are amazing. Next, we have Destroy All Monsters. This is by Sam J. Miller. It's 400 pages. It's mental health. It's about lost memory, about best friends, monsters, and a camera. That's all I know. And yeah, I want to read it. Then we have a book called Fractalistic by Gerardo Delgadillo. And it's 308 pages. This again is only on the Kindle. It's about a dead mom and a son who wants to speak to her, and the father, who is a computer engineer, who's trying to create a program that allows you to speak to the dead. It's set in Mexico, and I think the dad actually does it and the son is able to speak to the mom, but something goes wrong. So I'm looking forward to that one. And the very, very last book of the entire video, my most anticipated reads of January through July of 2019, is Immunity by Aaron Bowman. This is the sequel to Contagion, which is a sci-fi horror about a ship who goes out to check out, you know, a dead ship and see if there's any survivors. It's about outbreaks, and I told you it's a sci-fi, and it's 448 pages. And I haven't read Contagion. I borrowed it from the library, wasn't able to get to it because it's so big, and the sequel is now out. And I feel bad that I haven't read the first one. Whew, done. I have 3 minutes before I have to leave. So, with that being said, thank you so much for sticking with me and watching this entire video. Again, this is part 1. I will be doing part 2, which is all of my most anticipated reads from January to July for the adult books. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!